The moment I overheard my fiancée and her best friend whispering about a secret that could destroy our future, the trash bag slipped from my hands, and my world began to unravel. I'm Ethan, 32, a graphic designer who's always been more comfortable behind a screen than in the spotlight. My fiancée, Claire, 30, is a pediatric nurse with a laugh that could light up a room and a knack for making everyone feel like they belong. We met 4 years ago at a mutual friend's barbecue, where she spilled red wine on my favorite shirt, and spent the rest of the night apologizing with that infectious grin. By the end of the evening, I was smitten, and we've been inseparable since. We moved in together 2 years ago, got engaged last spring, and we're planning a small wedding for next summer. Our relationship wasn't perfect, whose is, but it was solid. We bickered about dishes or who forgot to pay the electric bill, but we always ended up laughing it off, curled up on the couch with a movie. Claire was my home, the one person I trusted to have my back no matter what. Her best friend, Mia, 31, was a constant in our lives. Mia's a real estate agent, sharp-witted and fiercely loyal to Claire since their college days. She was around a lot, brunch dates, game nights, even crashing on our couch after late nights out. I liked Mia. She was fun, if a bit intense, and she always seemed to approve of me, which meant a lot. Claire's family adored me too. Her mom sent me homemade cookies every Christmas, and her dad and I bonded over fishing trips. Everything felt right. Stable. Like we were building something. Real, but looking back, there were cracks I didn't see. Claire had been a little distant the past few months, chalking it up to work stress. She'd stay late at the hospital, her phone buzzing more than usual, and she'd brush it off with a tired smile. "Just work, babe," she'd say, kissing my forehead. I trusted her. Why wouldn't I? She was Claire, my Claire. Mia, too, had been acting odd, less chatty with me, her hugs a bit stiffer. I figured she was just busy with her own life. We were all adults after all, with our own pressures. I didn't think much of it. Not until that night. It was a Thursday, unremarkable, the kind of evening where you're just going through the motions. Claire had invited Mia over for dinner, and we'd had a good time. Lasagna, a bottle of wine, some laughs about a bad reality show. After Mia left, I offered to take out the trash while Claire cleaned up. It was a routine we'd fallen into, a small way to share the load. The air was crisp, the neighborhood quiet, just the hum of crickets and the occasional car passing by. I was tying the bag when I heard voices through the open kitchen window. Claire and Mia. I didn't mean to eavesdrop. It was an accident, really. But then I heard my name, and my feet froze. Ethan doesn't suspect a thing. Claire's voice was low, almost a whisper, but it carried through the still night. Air. My heart stuttered. Suspect? What was there to suspect? I pressed closer to the wall, the trash bag forgotten at my feet, my breath shallow. Mia's voice came next, sharp and uneasy. "Claire, you have to tell him. This can't go on. It's not fair." I know. Claire sighed, and I could picture her running a hand through her auburn hair, the way she did when she was stressed. But how do I even start? "Hey, Ethan, by the way, I've been lying to you for months. He'll hate me." My stomach twisted. Lying? About what? My mind raced. Money? Work? Another guy? No, that didn't make sense. Claire wasn't like that. But the word months echoed in my head, heavy and damning. "You should have told him when it started," Mia said, her tone clipped. "I warned you this would blow up in your face." "Don't lecture me, Mia," Claire snapped, her voice rising just enough to make me flinch. "You think I wanted this? It just happened. And now I'm in too deep." I felt like I was floating outside my body, listening to strangers. My Claire, the woman who cried during rom-coms and left me, post-it notes with silly doodles, was keeping something from me. Something big. I wanted to barge in, demand answers, but my legs wouldn't move. I was terrified of what I'd hear next. "Then end it," Mia said firmly. "Before he finds out the hard way. You owe him that." "I can't just end it," Claire said, her voice breaking. "It's not that simple. You don't understand." "Then, make me understand." Mia's voice was louder now, insistent. "Because right now, it looks like you're stringing him along, and I hate being part of this." Stringing me along? My chest tightened, and I gripped the edge of the windowsill to steady myself. The world felt like it was tilting. Was she cheating? Planning to leave me? Why was Mia involved? My thoughts spiraled, each one worse than the last. I'm trying to protect him, Claire said, softer now, almost pleading. If he knew the truth, it would destroy him. I love him, Mia. I do. Then why are you doing this? Mia asked, her voice heavy with frustration. You're risking everything. There was a long pause, and I held my breath, waiting for Claire to say something. Anything that would make this make sense. But what came next was worse than I could have imagined. Because I don't have a choice, Claire whispered. Not anymore. The words hit me like a punch. No choice? What did that mean? My mind flashed to every late night, every vague excuse, every time she'd pulled away when I tried to hold her. The pieces were there, but they didn't fit together. Not yet. I wanted to scream, to demand she explain, but I couldn't move. I just stood there, a coward in the dark, listening as the woman I loved tore my world apart. The conversation shifted after that, their voices dropping too low for me to hear clearly. I caught fragments, something about time running out, and needing to decide soon. Then the sync turned on, and their words were drowned out. I stumbled back, grabbing the trash bag like it was a lifeline, and dragged myself to the curb. My hands shook as I set it down, my mind a chaotic mess. What was Claire hiding? And why was Mia helping her keep it from me? I don't know how I made it back inside without collapsing. My legs felt like lead, and my heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst. The kitchen light spilled into the hallway, warm and inviting, like nothing had changed. But everything had. Claire was at the sink, rinsing dishes, humming softly to herself. She looked so normal, like the woman I'd proposed to, the one I'd planned a life with. But now, her every move felt like a lie. Hey, you're back, she said, glancing over her shoulder with a smile that used to make me feel like the luckiest guy alive. Now it made my skin crawl. Mia just left. Said to tell you she had fun. Yeah, I managed, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. Cool. I couldn't look at her for too long. I grabbed a glass from the cupboard, pretending to need water, while my mind screamed at me to confront her. But what would I say? I heard you talking about some secret that's going to destroy me? I needed more than that. I needed to know what I was hiding. That night, I barely slept. Claire curled up beside me, her arm across my chest, and I lay there, staring at the ceiling, replaying every word I'd overheard. By morning, I'd decided. I couldn't confront her. Yet, not without proof. I needed to dig deeper to figure out what it was and why she had no choice. So, I became a detective in my own relationship, and it was a sickening feeling. The first started with Mia. The next day, I texted her, casual as I could. Hey, you seemed off last night. Everything okay? She replied quickly. All good, just tired lol. But her response felt forced, too chipper. I didn't push, didn't want to tip my hand. But I started paying closer attention. I noticed I checked Claire's phone when she was in the shower, something I'd never done before in my life. Nothing stood out. No incriminating texts, no hidden apps, but I noticed she'd cleared her search history. Why? I also started watching Claire's patterns more closely. She was leaving for work earlier, coming home later, and her phone was glued to her hand. One night, she got a call and stepped outside to take it. Her voice was too low for me to hear anything clearly through the door. When she came back, she said it was her mom, but her eyes wouldn't meet mine for long. I nodded, pretending. I believed her, but my suspicion grew. I even went so far as to check our joint bank account. Nothing unusual, groceries, bills, the usual. But there was a small, regular withdrawal I hadn't noticed before. $200 every month, labeled miscellaneous. I asked Claire about it casually over dinner, and she froze for a split second, before saying, oh, that's probably just my gym membership or something. But I knew her gym membership was paid annually, not monthly. She changed the subject quickly, and I let it drop, but it gnawed at me. The hardest part was pretending everything was fine. I kissed her goodbye each morning, laughed at her jokes, planned our wedding like nothing was wrong. But inside, I was falling apart. I started losing my appetite, my work suffered, and I was paranoid every time her phone buzzed. I hated who I was becoming, or maybe who I'd always been, too trusting to see the truth. A week later, I couldn't take it anymore. I followed Claire after work. I told myself it was just to confirm she was at the hospital, but deep down, I knew I was chasing something darker. I parked across the street from the hospital, watching the entrance. She didn't come out at her usual time. Instead, I saw her slip out a side door, get into a car I didn't recognize, a black SUV, and drive off. My hands shook as I followed, keeping my distance. The SUV pulled into a nondescript office building downtown, not a hospital. Claire got out, glanced around, and went inside. No one else was with her, at least not that I could see. I sat in my car, gripping the wheel, my heart in my throat. What was she doing here? My mind screamed cheater, but my heart refused to believe it. I needed answers, but I was terrified of what they'd be. When I got home that night, Claire was already there, cooking stir-fry like it was any other evening. She greeted me with a kiss, but I flinched, and her smile wavered. "Rough day?" she asked, tilting her head. I mumbled something about traffic and went to change, my mind still on that SUV and the office building. I knew I couldn't keep pretending, but confronting her without knowing the full truth felt like jumping into a cliff, blindfolded. The next day, I called Mia again. This time, I didn't sugarcoat it. I asked her to meet me at a park near her office, saying I needed to talk about Claire. She agreed, but her voice sounded wary. When she showed up, her arms crossed, her eyes darted around like she was looking for an escape route. "What's going on, Ethan?" she said, barely sitting down on the bench. I took a deep breath and went for it. "I overheard you and Claire talking the other night you were over. You said she's hiding something from me. What is it?" Mia's face drained of color. She opened her mouth, then closed it again, her eyes searching mine. "Ethan, you weren't supposed to hear that." "Clearly," I said, my voice steady but cold, but I did. "So, tell me what's going on. Is she cheating? Planning to leave me?" "What?" Mia shook her head, her eyes glistening. It's not what you think. I swear. But I can't tell you. I promised her I wouldn't." "You're her best friend, Mia," I snapped, leaning forward. "If you care about her, about us, you'll tell me the truth." She bit her lip, her hands twisting together. "I told her to tell you. I've been pushing her for a month, but she's scared. Ethan, she thinks it'll break you." "Break me?" I echoed, my chest tightening. "What could be that bad?" Mia hesitated, then sighed. "She's not cheating, okay? I can tell you that much, but it's complicated. You need to hear it from her." I wanted to shake her, to demand more, but her expression, raw and conflicted, told me she wouldn't budge. I left the park, my frustration boiling over, and went straight to Claire's workplace. I waited outside until her break, then texted her to come out. When she saw me, her face fell, and she knew something was wrong. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" she asked, her voice shaky. "I heard you and Mia the other night," I said, my voice low but firm. "I know you're hiding something. I followed you yesterday, Claire. I saw you at that office building. So, don't lie to me. Tell me what's going on." Her eyes widened, and she took a step back, her hands trembling. You followed me?" "Yeah," I said, unapologetic. "Because you're acting like a stranger. So, what's it, Claire? Another guy? A secret life?" "What?" She shook her head, tears welling up. "Ethan, no, it's not another guy, I swear. I love you, Then what?" I shouted, my voice echoing in the parking lot. A few coworkers glanced over, and Claire flinched, wiping her eyes. "I can't." "Not here," she whispered. "Tonight. I'll tell you everything. I promise." I didn't believe her, but I nodded, too drained to argue. That night, she sat me down on the couch, her face pale and drawn. "Ethan," she started, her voice barely audible. "I've been lying to you, but it's because I didn't want to lose you." "Then tell me," I said, bracing myself. She took a shaky breath. "I'm sick. I've been seeing a specialist. For months. It's cancer. Stage 4. They don't know how long I have." The room spun. Cancer. My fiancée, my Claire, was dying. My anger dissolved into shock, and I stared at her, unable to speak. she explained. The appointments, the withdrawals for copays, her fear of telling me because she didn't want to burden me. Mia had been her confidant, helping her cope. I felt like the ground had vanished beneath me. The truth hung between us like a fog, thick and disorienting. Claire's eyes searched mine, waiting for me to say something, but I couldn't find words. Cancer, stage 4. The woman I loved, the one I'd planned to grow old with, was slipping away, and I'd been too busy playing detective to see her pain. I held her that night as she cried, her body frail in ways I hadn't noticed, and I cried too, for her, for us, for the life we might never have. The next morning, we talked more. Claire explained she'd been diagnosed 6 months ago after finding a lump. She'd kept it quiet, hoping treatment would work, but the prognosis was bleak, maybe a year, maybe less. She'd hidden it to protect me, not wanting to derail our engagement or burden me with her illness. I wanted us to have happy moments, she said, her voice cracking. I didn't want you to look at me like I was already gone. I was angry, not at her, but at the unfairness of it all. I apologized for following her, for doubting her, but she just squeezed my hand. I'd have done the same, she admitted with a sad smile. Mia came over later, tearfully explaining she'd wanted to tell me but respected Claire's wishes. I forgave her, though the sting of their secrecy lingered. We adjusted. Claire scaled back work, and I took on more freelance projects to cover costs. We went to appointments together, chemo, scans, consults with specialists. Every visit was a gut punch, but I stayed strong for her. We made plans, not for a wedding, but for moments. A weekend at her family's beach house, a road trip to see the Grand Canyon. We laughed, we cried, we lived. Her family was devastated when she told them. Her mom sobbed, her dad went silent, and her sister flew in to help. They rallied around us, but I saw the fear in their eyes. The same fear I felt every day. Claire's strength kept us grounded. She'd joke about her bald head or tease me about my terrible hospital coffee runs. But there were dark days too, when she was too weak to get up, when I'd lie awake, terrified of losing her. 3 months later, Claire's condition worsened. She was hospitalized after a seizure, and the doctors were blunt. Weeks, not months. We brought her home with hospice care, setting up her bed in the living room so she could see the garden she loved. I took leave from work, spending every moment with her. We talked about everything. Our first date, our dreams, even the fights we'd laughed off. She made me promise to keep living, to find happiness again. I nodded, but my heart broke at the thought. Claire passed 5 weeks later, surrounded by family and me, holding her hand. She was peaceful, her last words a soft, "I love you." The grief was a tidal wave, raw and relentless. I moved through the funeral in a daze, her family clinging to me as much as I did to them. Mia helped with arrangements, her guilt evident, but we leaned on each other. Now, 6 months later, I'm existing. I sold our apartment, too many memories, and moved to a smaller place. I'm back at work, but it's mechanical. I visit Claire's grave sometimes, leaving her favorite, flowers talking to her. I'm trying to honor her wish, to live, but it's hard. I started therapy, taking small steps, like hiking or seeing friends. The pain hasn't faded, but it's softer, like a bruise I'm learning to carry. Looking back, I wish I'd noticed her weight loss, her fatigue, instead of chasing shadows. I wish I'd held her tighter instead of doubting her. But I know she loved me, and I loved her with everything I had. That's enough, my truth, the one I hold on to.